Hey guys, I'm with Tony Doyle. Tony is working on starting his own coaching business, and he comes from a really interesting background. So Tony has worked with Mind Valley, Hay House Publisher, TEDx. He's done TEDx talks, and also does volunteer work, behavior management kind of stuff. Tony, can you explain that a little more? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I actually have, yeah, it's crazy. Like I'm pulling from all sorts of different things. But yeah, so basically, Monday through Thursday, I do behavioral health with kids in the school corporation,
Mm-hmm.
teaching mindfulness techniques, different ways to reduce anger management, or anger management kind of stuff, reduce anger, frustration, stuff like that. Um, so I do that like 4 days a week. I've also worked with Mind Valley as what they call a facilitator role, which is basically teaching programs for them in the Midwest of the United States here. So I work with them through that role. I also obviously take some classes through them.
So who is
Uh,
Mind? Just in case no one's familiar, who is Mind Valley?
Mind Valley is probably the biggest online mindfulness. He Vision calls it a university. So basically, it's an online thing where you can go sign up for different classes. They have the best teachers and coaches in the world teaching all manner of different mindfulness type of things, from from meditation to um, coaching to shoot prosperity to I mean Harv Eker is on there, Robin Sharma teaches there, like I mean they're just, you name it. So
It's a
that's Mind Valley.
it's a really good platform. It's really impressive. Like just their whole structure, like the courses that they offer. It's like all these psychology, self-development related courses, and then the whole business model is really interesting too. Like it's a really good example of a self-improvement business gone right. And it's a good thing to like, we can learn a lot. We can all learn a lot in this industry, and like the self-improvement kind of industry. We can all learn a lot from Mind Valley for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some of your folks may know them from like A Fest. Like they put on huge big events throughout the world also. So what used to be called Awesome Fest or A Fest, they do that twice a year, and that has thousands of people. They also have Mind Valley University, which they go and for a month they set up actual university, and whole families go and sign up. So it's everybody from age 0 to 99, and you take classes all month long, and you know what I mean, and different
Yeah.
things.
Wow.
So it's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, it's really great, and it's also great that you're coming from a place where you've done work with them, which
Mhm.
will be so good for like such a good thing to leverage when you build your business. But you don't just have Mind Value; you have Hay House as well, and TEDx.
Right,
Um,
right.
so, so what about Hay House? Who are they, and like what's your relationship with them?
Well, Hay House, once again, if you don't know who they are, but Hay House is probably the top mindfulness publisher in the world.
Right.
Um, um, Started by Louise Hay.
Hmm.
Um, uh, Dr. Dyer was probably their biggest seller for lots and lots and lots of years. Um, so you guys, most people know Wayne Dyer in this industry. So anyway, so Hay House Publishing, I actually have two books currently being considered by Reed Tracy, their CEO and publisher. So in doing that, I'm actually doing some other work with them. Like I've done two Hay House Lives, and I actually just posted on my Facebook today because I just got an email to ask if I wanted to help out with a Portland event they're doing in March. So in March, I'll be in Portland with Dr. Joe Dispenza and the whole crew. There's like 8 different Hay House publishers Hay House authors that'll be presenting different lectures and stuff. So I'll be there
Yeah,
with them doing.
that's that's awesome. And then So already, and you have more. We have still TEDx to talk about, but so with Mind Valley and Hay House, you already have a platform through like the work that you've done there. You already have a platform of people who are interested in self improvement and who are
Right.
interested in coaching, which are like amazing things to leverage for your like. It'll make your business the hardest part of growing the business is always audience building. That's by far the hardest part. Um, and you already have like you already are going to leverage your relationship with them to kind of kick off that process, which will make beginning your business a lot easier.
Right. In some ways it's easier. In some ways it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Like the problem is the competition is humongous in both of those organizations,
Mm.
with coaching, teaching, program. Like everyone's got programs there. You know what I mean? Like, and so if I'm going against Dr. Joe, or you know what I mean, I'm going against Vishen,
Yeah.
uh, Lakiani. You know what I mean? Or
But
you know,
even just affiliating yourself with those people, like it does something for your brand because
yeah.
you're next to those people, and it's definitely really good for credibility.
Yeah,
Um,
I completely agree, and I mean that's why I do it. You know, obviously, the compensation for doing both of those things right now is not high, but the credibility piece, and you know, and hopefully the later on leverage is what I'm looking for. So same thing with TEDx. You know what I mean? Like this isn't main TED stage where you're getting $2,500 a speech. This is TEDx at universities, and you know what I mean. So I've done three of those now. Um, but it's all great training. You know what I mean? Like as far as being able to learn from the stage, or you know, sell from the stage even, um, and and just to be with that organization, the TED organization as well.
yeah,
Like to
yeah.
tie your name to that, I think is also probably a bonus. So
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, those three, right? Those are three of the biggest names in self improvement. Mind Valley, Hay House, and TEDx. So, and the fact that you're affiliating with them, um, and I think what we're getting at is that partnerships, like strong partnerships, and this is a sort of partnership that you have already because you're doing work with them, even though you're not really, they're not compensating you well or whatever. But it's not about that. It's about the partnerships that you're building with them and how that leads to you having like really good credibility just starting when you're just starting out, which is really hard to do. Um, and then also a kind of an audience, even if you have to share it with other, even if it's competitive, you still have access to some audience right away.
yeah,
A mixture of the audience and the credibility, two of the hardest kind of intangible kind of things to build, and you already are getting a head start on that. So,
right.
um,
Which is purely not a coincidence. I mean, I've been working at it for 2 years to build the behind the scenes stuff. You know, while I'm still doing the behavioral health things, and I just tie all the concepts. The funny thing is, a lot of the stuff that I do with the kids, I learned from Vishen at Mind Valley. You know what
uh,
I mean? As far as mindfulness, breath work, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yoga, like I use all of those concepts with the kids. So I've got case studies now that I can put
uh,
in the programs. You know, I've got programs
yeah,
I can do for strictly for kids. You know what I mean? Or for, you know, I could put together a program. I've been thinking about putting together a program for like behavior interventionists in schools, or you know what I
mm,
mean, people like that. So
right.
I think I do have some options that I've kind of painted myself in
Right,
a decent
because
platform.
you also have the schools that you can leverage,
Yeah.
in the whole kid network, and so and you said this is all very deliberate. Like you have been planting these seeds for years, and what I want to know is what you've done is like remarkable. You're creating kind of like you're starting these partnerships with Mind Valley, Hay House, TEDx, and these are like three, as I said, these are like three of the biggest names in self improvement.
Right.
And how did you go? How did you go about like getting the speaking gig with TEDx? Like, what was that? How can other people do that?
So so here's how I was doing a lot of volunteering. Like I used to work for the Boy Scouts of America for 9 years
Hmm.
as an executive with them. So, and what I did with them is I went into like inner city places that couldn't support a scouting program and like built it for underprivileged kids. So I have a strong nonprofit background already. That's what my degree is in nonprofit business management. So I come from that. I'm part of the Nonprofit Leadership Alliance, which is a huge thing in the United States for nonprofits as well. So I kind of come from that background.
Hmm.
I decided that coaching would be a good complement to that. So I actually started taking some classes from Mindvalley first. And they do some facilitated classes as well. But so I started online, really to try to, not even with coaching stuff first, but that mindfulness stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Starting in the basics with Mindvalley, just getting involved in the culture of it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you started just throwing yourself into the culture of like taking Mindvalley courses and getting kind of used to like the network there and the
Right.
facility there. And then what was the opportunity that led you to like doing actual work with them? Um, what was that transition between like consuming their content and like actually becoming part of their team?
The funny thing is, like, it's just a plot. You know what I mean? It's like basically when you get your ICF accreditation. So when you get your actual coaching accreditation, when you do enough hours and enough
Mhm.
clients and all that, they just offered me a facilitator spot,
Oh,
um, because I started online, but then I quickly went to traveling 50 miles north here where they had some facilitated classes as well. So I
right.
would go there, and so then I would start helping. So I was in the class, but I would show up early and help. Like I purposely like worked my way in, knowing what I wanted to do afterwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I wanted to take that to a further level, and once I got some accreditation, I wanted that affiliation to go with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it really worked. So for at first they offered me just like an assistantship, which basically just paid for me to drive up there. You know what I mean? And then I would help the facilitator. Then I got the facilitator's role for that Midwest location, and then I did two A fests. So those are those big things that I was talking about earlier. One was in Sardinia, Italy, and the other was in Bali, Indonesia. So I went there and helped them facilitate classes for that. And
Mm.
next thing I know, I'm now a master facilitator, which means, you know what I mean, I can pretty much do any class that I've already been trained in. I can do a little bit extra and get a tack on to teach that as well.
Mm.
You know what I mean, with their backing.
Right,
So
right. And is it kind of like, are you kind of allowed to like leverage the students that you've already taught there? Are you allowed to kind of um, coach them on your own, like with your own business, or is that kind of against their rules?
um, there's not really any hard and fast rules with that, but obviously, you know what I mean. They're trying to get everyone to go down the same route that I went, which
Yeah.
basically is go through them to get their things. But honestly, like Vishen is like so open minded. He's just like whatever, you know what I mean. Whatever inspires the world, what's good for you know what I mean. Like he's super. He's just a different kind of thinker for sure. Like,
Like,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
to be a millionaire businessman, he doesn't think as much like a businessman as he does a visionary, honestly.
Yeah. Sounds like a great guy.
Yeah.
Um,
So what I ended up doing was um, using the test program that I developed in my Mindvalley as my TEDx speech. So
uh,
I gave that same what would be turned into a program. I gave that I put that into a TEDx pitch, and I
and
ended up getting two TEDx talks in like 75-mile radius from each other. So I did two of the almost exact same talk.
all you have to do is like pitch, like I guess on their website you just like send a pitch in to TEDx, or
Mhm.
was it someone you like connected with, or how did that work?
Um, the very first one, how I really got in the door, um, the first one was at Indiana University in Bloomington, the first one I ever did, which happens to be the city I grew up in Bloomington, Indiana. So I had a couple ins.
Okay.
I had a couple ins, and I let people know. I'm like, hey, I'm working with Mindvalley. I've got this. You know what I mean? I sent them kind of my pitch, my
Yeah.
proposal.
But
Um,
already leveraging the background with Mindvalley gives you so much credibility to appear on TEDx. So it all kind of connects, and then you have a program that you
right,
do with Mindvalley. You just say, hey, I'll turn this into a TEDx talk.
exactly. And at the same time, like I haven't even started the Hay House journey, but I had started the Hay House journey, but I haven't mentioned that here. I
Right.
had already pitched my first book to Hay House.
Hmm.
They've actually been holding my first book for almost 2 years now, because Louise Hay, the founder, died, and they like pushed back a bunch of stuff. So they didn't hire a lot of new people, even though they kept us on retainer.
Hmm.
So there's like 8 or 9 authors in my same exact position, like just sitting waiting. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
they hold the rights to the books, so they pay an upfront retainer to hold those for a certain amount of time,
Right.
and then they have the option whether to pick them up or not at the end.
That's really cool. And so you said you got a book accepted by, or just like on hold by Hay House, and that was another
Correct.
way to like boost credibility for TEDx.
Exactly. And what I did for my third TEDx talk, since I'd already used the other program, I used the outline for my first book
Ah,
as my third TEDx talk, which
gotcha.
my book is called Finding Your Silver Lining. So it's basically how to stay positive in whatever situation you might find yourself in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I used that as the pitch for the third TEDx talk, and ended up getting that, as well. I knew I couldn't use the same one because it was within 50-mile radius of where I'd done the first.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah, yeah. It's
and they all talk, you know what I mean? Because they have similar,
same
the
audience.
audiences travel on those kind of TEDx
Right.
and stuff.
So
But so that's how I did it. I really just keep plugging away a little, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, at these, yeah, I know I get it. Like a little, just get a little deeper and deeper into these
yeah,
these
in each
partners,
thing, you know what I mean? It's like
and
reaching here and
they all relate to each other. Um,
positive momentum, like building off of all three pillars,
just
of a triangle.
spiraling upward.
Right.
And with Hay House, so did you just send your pitches cold to them? And like, how did you get your two manuscripts accepted by them, or they sent you some sort of, they bought the rights to it. So
Right.
how did you get to that point? Because that also seems pretty remarkable.
Yeah, yeah. Everything is. That's definitely not something that everyone could pattern after how I did it. Hay House technically does not take cold pitches.
Hmm.
Like they make you hire an agent. The funny thing is, I kind of backdoored it because I um, I met Dr. Dyer 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh wow, he
So
was
I started working with Dr. Wayne Dyer, and he was
uh
kind of a mentor or a coach to me at that point because I knew I was trying to be a published author. So I
mm,
started working with him and doing like a little one-on-one coaching and mentoring with him. So through that, I actually got to meet Louise Hay and him and Doreen Virtue and a bunch of people from Hay House, and Reed Tracy, who happens to be currently the CEO and publisher at Hay House. So
wow,
I kind of backdoored my way into that,
through Wayne
um,
Dyer.
through Wayne Dyer, um,
Wow, and
which is the same way. If you know who Anita Morjani is, that's how she got her publishing deal, is through Wayne Dyer.
interesting.
Um, in fact, he searched her out because he heard about her near-death experience, and he was so interested in it. He was like, "You got to write a book." You know what I mean? So he pitched it to Reed himself. So she didn't even want to do it. She's so shy. It's so funny. But so there's lots of ways to do stuff. You know what I mean?
But
And I know some people who self-publish through Balboa Press, which is their self-publishing wing,
mhm.
and Reed commonly goes through Balboa and pulls people out and publishes from there.
Mm.
So that's another way you can do it too. Even Louise Hay had to self-publish her first book before she got a publishing deal.
Mhm.
And then she bought herself out of her publishing deal. So with the proceeds from her first book, she started Hay House. So.
Awesome. And it's another Wayne Dyer is yet another like one of the biggest names in self-improvement.
Right.
So, and you created a relationship with him the same way that you did Mindvalley, right? Like you started as like a student and then kind of got to know him.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So really it's just being vulnerable. Like if I could put anything on what I've done is I've not been so uptight that I can't pitch them like exactly where I'm at, but sell them the vision of where I want to go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like literally that's what I do. I'm like, I work with kids, but this is what I could see myself doing with your help. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
you see that? Can't you see that? You can see that, right? You know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, I can see that. So, and then before I know it, they're offering to help me, with different things. So.
Yeah. And it's like the best way to stand out to someone is like or one of the best ways is like to become their student, because that shows the ultimate sort of respect. And then you're learning from them, you're being vulnerable, and then they want to help you out because you're the student. And then that naturally like leveraging the relationships that you build through them.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom to be learned here. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. There's a lot of insight, and I know that it's going to be, what you're fully plunging into starting your own business, and I know that you're going to have a head start over a lot of people who are kind of starting it from not having these past relationships. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing where your business goes.
Awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate your platform as well, and being able to jump on your podcast here. So
yeah, thanks again.